How's it going, everybody? It's Ryan here with Active Tech Review. I'm going to go over another headphone review, although it's not really in the active line. It's definitely for high-end audio, and these are the DT770 Pros, the Beyerdynamic DT770 Pros, and these are these headphones here, and I want to tell you that you're in for a treat. I got some very decent, really actually, I'm going to say decent, great high-end headphones, especially when you compare it to the previous reviews that I made. But let's talk about this. So let's get into the review. So before I go into the sound quality, just want to show you what's in the box. It comes with a little carrying case like this. It comes with a 1/4 jack conversion from 3.5 to 1/4. And the headphones. That's pretty much all it comes with. So let's talk about the most important things when it comes to headphone reviews, or I think, in my opinion, the most important thing. Because the thing that matters the most when you're looking to buy some headphones is simply the sound quality. Why are you buying headphones that cost more than $10 or $20, right? You're looking for sound quality. That is probably at least 50 to 70%, if not 100% of the reason why you purchase expensive headphones. Or very high-end headphones. Now, being someone that is mostly in-ear person that uses in-ear monitors for music and for sound, I will tell you that if you have used in-ear music for sound, you're going to find that these may not be for you, and I'll tell you why. The first thing I'll tell you is that one of the biggest challenges with when I try to use music and listen to sound is that the problem is that I have a very sensitive head. I have ears that stick out. So sometimes one of the challenges with these is that, or with any kind of over-the-ear headphones, is that they have a tendency to kind of press on my ear, make it really uncomfortable, make it really, really warm. And sometimes I just have a sensitive head. And if you're one of those people, these might be a consideration, because a lot of people say this is extremely comfortable. I want a headphi.org to take a look at the forums, look at reviews, and this was mentioned a ton. This has one of the best values for the buck. And since my ears stick out, I have relatively big ears. I find that when I put these over my head, they're actually pretty decent. Like, what I mean by is that the cup is big enough where my ear is not smushed in there, so they fit really well. So there's a lot of air in there. But the problem I did run into is that because I have sort of a sensitive head, when I put stuff on my head on occasion, it will press on my temple too hard. And one of the recommendations was to simply stretch them out. And I'll tell you right now that it sort of worked and it sort of didn't. I mean, it's a very bittersweet love-hate relationship with these headphones, with me personally, because they sound amazing. I mean, they are absolutely amazing. You think about all the mids and the highs and the bass, fantastic. There's a little bit of tinkering that needs to be done because they tend to be a little bit sibilant, or the highs tend to be a little bit harsh and they can hurt your ears. At one point, I actually thought that they were going to damage my hearing, because I would get a little bit of ringing, or it just didn't feel right after I was done after a listening session. And it turns out, after I looked on the forums about the DT770 Pros, is that they tend to be sibilant for some people, and in my case they were. So what I simply did was I EQ'd them. I used the equalizer to get it down to kind of a bass emphasis, and it kind of fixed the problem, and then the music was absolutely awesome. The quality of the sound, I mean, it was night and day when you compare them to any set of headphones I used previously. And if there's one thing I really do love about these the most, is simply that they provide, I guess the word is soundstage. I'm still kind of getting used to sort of the lingo on headphone, learning about the how to describe music, and I have a huge soundstage experience with this. Simply, and some people say it doesn't have one, but this is my experience, is that I use a lot of in-ear headphones, and because of that, having the extra space in your ear kind of creates kind of more of a music surrounding you. Kind of one of the cons that occur with these headphones, though, is that they don't isolate as well. They don't isolate well. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, maybe they're pretty good, don't get me wrong, but it sort of depends on your environment. Like, I guess when I say it doesn't isolate well, what I really mean is that if you work in a gym, I work in a noisy gym, I sometimes go to a coffee shop and they play music that's loud. I went to a hotel yesterday to just do some writing and some blogging, and that thing was like, I couldn't get the sound to go down. It was just too, I couldn't isolate it well enough. So that was sort of an issue. But I'll say that if you work in a quiet environment like an office or something, these are going to be perfect. I really, really wanted to keep these. I really do. But the problem is, because I'm a personal trainer and I have sort of this mobile lifestyle from moving from like sort of like a non-permanent office because I'm at work all day, these have not been very well. And the other problem that I kind of ran into with these is that they have a, what is it? They need an amp. You know, some people, the person that I bought it from, the salesperson I talked to said you don't need an amp. For me, maybe I have hard of hearing or whatever, but I needed an amp. I couldn't get the sound loud enough, so that was sort of an issue. Let's talk about comfort. Now, one of the things about comfort with the DT770s is they have a tendency to be a little bit clampy. Now, if you get a chance to audition them and you go to a store and you get to wear them, they are comfortable. They feel great. So until you've actually, wore them for an extended period of time, it's kind of hard to tell if these are going to be a good headset for you, good pair of headphones. So, you're just going to have to try them out. I'll tell you right now, when it comes to comfort, it turns out that comfort is actually a lot more important to me than I thought, and sound quality is, because I have some cheaper headphones that I use for listening to audiobooks and working out. They're the QY7s actually. I'll put a link in the description, or I'll put it here or here. And you can kind of watch it if you want. If you're mobile, check the link in the description. But the quality, when you wear these, I really feel like I'm in heaven. It just sounds so good. And if you want something with great quality for less than $200, as long as you're able to find it for $200, they're great. And if I'll say something for sure is that when I told you about required to get an amp for these headphones, you need to, these are the 80 ohm version. And if you don't know what the ohms are, you kind of forget sometimes, because I get confused with it too. It simply just means how much power it needs. So the higher the ohms, the more power it needs, the headphones do. And these are 80, and there's one below this, a 32. I think if I got the 32, I might have been a little bit more happier with them and not have to carry an amp. But the amp makes it so that you can make the volume louder, and it improves the sound quality. Though I'll say, in my opinion, the amp, I use the Creative E1 amp, the portable headphone amp, a Sound Blaster, and it was a good amp, and it was portable, but holding it, I decided that carrying an amp around wherever I go all the time and wanting to listen to sound and music was just a bit cumbersome for me, and didn't fit my lifestyle. But if you're talking about good sound quality and great bass, wow, you'd get a ton of quality out of it. So I think that would be something that I would really consider. Check some reviews out on them. I found this really great review from a gamer that actually works as a DAC also, so it's a digital to analog converter. So I'll put that link in the description. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over kind of a live listening session, and I'm going to kind of, for the last time, experience these headphones. So as I do this live listening session, you'll also get a little bit of a sound leak review, so you get to hear it. The microphone is pretty close to my body, maybe about 12 inches, so keep that in consideration. So it will seem pretty loud, but it does leak, so. Such a great sound. I'm listening to Royals, Royals by Lord, and you can hear the nice, very light echo and sort of, I guess that's what you call soundstage, where you hear the music around you. The bass is very clear, it's very crisp, it's very clean. And that sound, a sub bass, where you can't really hear it, but you can feel it. You can get a little bit of a feeling, not a huge rumble like you'd get on a bass heavy headset, but you get just enough to enjoy the music. Now, one of the challenges with using my laptop here with Spotify is that, I have a 320 kilobits, is that I can't use the equalizer for whatever reason. Spotify doesn't have it on the desktop. So I'm going to hook it up to my phone, and I'm going to play the same song and kind of go over what it sounds like with the EQ on towards bass for the same exact song. All right, so when I connect it to my Note 4, what I get is I get a really much better bass when I EQ it down to bass a little bit. I get a good sub bass, a great sound. One thing, when you listen to this in a quiet room, they sound fantastic. But again, like what I said before, when you're in a noisy environment, it can take away from the experience. And that's kind of what I found myself doing. I found myself having to crank the volume all the way up. And in case you're not kind of familiar with a whole lot of the equalizer stuff, and I'm just kind of new to it myself, it's sort of what I learned is when you equalize it down the bass, it makes it so you can't make the volume as loud. And there's also some other implication when it comes to making the volume loud, because you can damage your hearing if you have to blast it at 100% all the time, because I find myself having to blast it to 100% to kill the ambient noise. And I sort of don't want to do that. I want to be able to get a good isolation so that I can listen for an extended period of time. One of the other things too is that after about 45 minutes, it was just too uncomfortable around my temples here. So it was, and just another listening tip in case you do have these and you're just watching another review and you like to get someone else's opinion, is that I found that when you bring the headphones more forward like this, they sound great, because for whatever reason the speakers are able to sit in the front of the ear or more centered of the ear, and you get much better sound versus being back here. It's I don't know how much of an improvement it is, but it does make a significant difference when I'm listening. Let's go try a different song. Change the World by Eric Clapton. So I'll get some good acoustics. So right now I have it maxed out at 100%. Wow, it just sounds so good. You could just really hear the fingers on the strings. You just almost feel it. God, I'm so reluctant to give these back, but gosh, these sound so good. I'm gonna EQ it back up to normal to kind of give you my thoughts on it. So that's sort of the problem there. When I EQ it, well, it's 100% volume. Let me lower the volume down to 70%. It's a little bit sibilant, and it doesn't sound too bad depending on how sensitive your ears are to that kind of higher pitched sound. But the problem is that for extended periods of time, it really does hurt my ears. So that's also another issue when it comes to higher end headphones, is some of those higher frequencies aren't comfortable for a lot of people that are, that listen to music. I mean, if you listen to R&B, hip hop, rap, they are great, especially when you EQ them the bass. I find though, then again, that sometimes you just don't get enough oomph out of them. Like I'm not using the amp, and so they're not nearly as good, you know? So if you get the headphone amp, the Creative V1, I'll put a link in the description. It's like $35, so it's not too bad if it fits within your lifestyle and the way you like to move around. And if you're able to have like one desk area where you can listen privately, God, it's such a great experience. Let's go listen to MJ. Never Felt So Good. Let's go EQ it back to bass. It just sounds so clean when you hear them hitting the drums. It's such a very clean, crisp, and clear sound. Let's do one more song here. Let's go play some rap. So let's do some Eminem. We'll do So Bad, Eminem. And I have to say, these sound really fantastic. They sound really good. I'll tell you right now, because I've been using the amp the last few days, they don't sound nearly as good without the amp, because the amp actually really does, for whatever reason, cleans up the sound. It makes it so that you don't have to turn up the volume so high and you still get the same amount of volume, or maybe the right kind of emphasis. I'm not sure if I'm even using that right, but it comes out great when you use the Creative V1. So if you're gonna get these headphones, I highly recommend you get an amp with it. If you don't get the amp, I think you're still in good shape. It just sort of depends on your experience and how much you wanna dive deep into these to high-end audio, high-end headphones. But that's my recommendation, because depending on kind of your working conditions or your lifestyle conditions, the amp will provide a much, not only stronger sound, but a higher quality sound. Because I have this at 100% listening to Eminem So Bad, and it's not, there's distortion because I have to crank it up. I wish I wasn't, it was just kind of weird because I never actually noticed that, but I noticed it because I've been using the amp for a while. And to kind of do some closing thoughts on these headphones, here are my thoughts. If you have a very mobile lifestyle where you move from location to location, and you are trying, and you tend to do that kind of thing, maybe blogging in different coffee shops, or maybe you go to work out in different gyms, you travel a lot, these headphones are probably not the best choice, especially when you have to carry an amp. But if for private listening, if you're at home, or maybe you don't move a ton, maybe inside the house, they are great. You're looking for some high quality cans to put on your head while you're just sitting and listening in your living room, or maybe in your office. These are, I don't think there is anything best bang for buck you can get in these headphones. If you buy these headphones, you really can't go wrong. One of the reasons why I'm not going to be able to keep them is just for the simple fact of my lifestyle. So that's really a big factor too. So keep in mind that having an amp and also having these kind of headphones are a little bit cumbersome. I mean, I really do want to keep these, but the problem is I'm just not going to be able to experience them. I'm out of the house for 14 hours a day. I'm always in noisy environments. And although they have pretty decent sound cancellation, they're not the sound cancellation that I need for the environments that I work out in or work in. Because sometimes I'm like riding and I'm in a really noisy gym and there's people working out in the background and I have to crank these up too loud, and sometimes that doesn't even help. And then also I have a very sensitive head. So those are some considerations. If you sort of have a big head like me or ears that stick out, these might not be something that you can really enjoy. But if you love high-end audio and you're used to wearing over-the-ear headphones, I don't think you can find a better set of headphones for under $200. So if you can pick these up for $200, either get the 80 or a 32 ohm version for a little bit more mobility, so that way you don't have to have a dedicated amp, I think these are going to be a great choice. So anyways, thanks for watching. Leave a comment below if you have a question, and I'll see you guys on the next review.